It's now my great pleasure to introduce my friend Mary Smith, who is now serving as the president of the American Bar Association. Mary has had a successful legal career in both the private and public sector and is an independent board member and former CEO of a $6 billion, that's with a B, billion-dollar healthcare organization. She has served at the highest levels of the federal and state governments, including her time working in the White House as Associate Counsel to the President and Associate Director of Policy Planning. One of her most notable accomplishments is her role as the founder, president, and chair of the Caroline and Ora Smith Foundation. This foundation, named after her mother and grandmother, works to train Native American girls in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We are lucky to have her here today, sharing her thoughts on the important partnership between the ABA and LSC and how we can work together to advance the cause of equal access to justice. Please join me in welcoming ABA President Mary Smith.
Well, good evening, everyone. And thank you, Judge Livingston, my friend, for that warm introduction. And I want to thank Board Chair John Levy and President Ron Flagg and all of you for the work you do every single day. As you can see, it makes a tremendous difference and profoundly changes lives. I am pleased to be with you all today for this momentous occasion. Throughout the Legal Services Corporation 50-year history, the American Bar Association has been a proud and vocal partner and collaborator on access to justice issues. In fact, the ABA's support for civil legal aid even predates LSC. Many ABA presidents from all sides of the political spectrum have been famously strong supporters of securing legal help for Americans who cannot afford traditional legal fees, including Lewis Franklin Powell Jr., who later served as the Supreme Court Justice who swore in the very first board of LSC. This is a rich history, and I'm pleased to carry on that tradition today. I want to spend my time today talking about critical connections. The connections between the American Bar Association and LSC, the connections between the legal profession and the rule of law, and the connection between the justice system and American democracy. When I began my presidency of the American Bar Association, I set out two priorities aimed at charting the course of the future of the legal profession, the role of technology in our field, and the protection of American democracy. We are right here facing a critical moment in the history of our nation. More than half of Americans, 51%, yes, 51%, say they are dissatisfied with how democracy is working. Less than 1/3 of millennials consider it essential to live in a democracy, and 1 in 5 U.S. adults can't name any of our branches of government. With these trends we're seeing, it's the responsibility of any citizen, and especially those of us who have dedicated their lives to the field of law, to ask ourselves, why do people feel this way? What is this data telling us? Perhaps the message we should be receiving is that for large swaths of our population, the system simply is not working. We know this from the 90+% of legal issues that go unsolved for low-income Americans across the country. For decades, the American Bar Association has advocated for legal services funding as the embodiment of the federal government's role in securing the core American value of equal justice under law. a value that is crucial to our national democratic system. And while we're proud of the advocacy we've done, and we're going to be doing it tomorrow and the next day, we know we know the end result is still falling short. The inadequate funding of legal representation for low-income Americans was illuminated by a report released at the end of last year by the American Bar Association, which provides a stark look at the national distribution of legal aid resources. So these are going to be some stark statistics. Nationwide, there are just 2.8 paid legal aid lawyers for every 10,000 U.S. residents in poverty. The report also detailed the number and location of paid civil legal aid attorneys, finding that they make up less than 1% of the 1.3 million lawyers in our country. The bottom line is clear, although distressing. There simply aren't enough legal aid lawyers for all low-income Americans facing civil legal issues. As a result, many economically disadvantaged individuals must navigate complex legal systems alone, often facing adverse effects on crucial aspects of their lives. The gap is undoubtedly contributing to our society's increasing disenfranchisement with our government systems and our rule of law. This is a daunting outlook, but one we must engage with because we know what can happen when that gap is closed. The voices we heard from today tell this story. A young woman is living her life inspiring others after surviving horrific abuse as a child. A former felon is helping countless others in her community get a second chance at a new life. A justice worker is using her skills and experience to help at-risk youth in her tribe. And just a short while ago, an inspiring young man shared his childhood story to advocate for change to better protect children from facing homelessness. Thanks so much for your story. Each of these stories represents a life transformed for someone who has gone on to serve others and change lives themselves. And each was made possible by the impact of civil legal aid, the work we recognize here tonight. It seems fitting that LSC would be celebrating a milestone anniversary to closely follow another milestone. Those of us in the legal field know that last year was the 60th anniversary of the landmark Gideon decision, protecting the legal rights of those charged with a crime. While we still have a way to go in extending the protection and promise to civil litigants, I'm both encouraged and excited at the strides we are making. Indeed, the strides that have been talked about this very day, promoting public education about the staggering justice gap, leveraging technology, and in particular AI, to work smarter and to help bridge the gap, rethinking both practices and regulations who can provide legal support to those facing legal challenges, and of course, amplifying the voices and stories of those impacted by civil legal aid. These are all the things that each one of us can take an active role in helping move forward. And in a world and time when so much feels so far out of our control, what could be more empowering? Some people think of lawyers as people who manage risk, and we certainly do that. We do that. But I personally think that sells us short. I view lawyers as problem solvers. The room tonight is filled with talented and creative people. We come from different backgrounds, have differing ideologies, bring different skills. but we come together for a common purpose. Tonight, as we mark 50 years of working hard to meet the needs of our fellow Americans, we must renew our commitment to solving the justice gap. It will take a concentrated effort and intentionality from each and every one of us. But by emphasizing the things that have carried us this far, cooperation, collaboration, creativity, I know that we can do it. And let that be our legacy. Thank you so much.